Today, Liss and I are going to explore the topic of trust.
Hi, and welcome to Light for Life. If you are returning to our channel, thank you. We value and appreciate you. Our aim is to shine a bright light on your inner splendor and assist to connect you to your magnificence via what we intend to be enlightened sharing, potentially educational, and hopefully entertaining information, as well as encouragement for new perspectives. If you are new here, you are most welcome. We do hope that you will find our content highly beneficial and enjoyable. I am Liss. I'm a science of mind practitioner and a teacher of various healing modalities applicable to all aspects of the self and this life.
And I am Lori. I am a holistic wellness researcher and educator. Welcome to Connections with Liss and Lori. We use the space to offer our perspective regarding multiple different topics that we certainly hope you find inspiring. Trust can be a little bit of a hot button for some people. I am no exception in that people group. Trust is something that I used to struggle with pretty significantly. When I started to understand that trust really is rooted in the belief that life really does support us. That it wasn't until I really started to deeply understand that I could finally start to shift from feeling so traumatized and so wounded to really seeing how beautifully harmonious our support really is. Like in previous episodes, we talked about how our core beliefs are so important and how those beliefs can skew our perception of our world. I think trust ties in with this really beautifully, because just like our foundational beliefs of love or of disharmony can support everything that we see in our lives, trust is really not all that different, in my opinion, anyway. When we see our foundational belief of trust and how life truly does support everything we need, we can really start to open up not just our minds, but our hearts. And this was such a big one for me. I really feel passionately about this episode because there were so many years that I struggled with feelings of betrayal and feelings of confusion. And then the transformation into, my gosh, this world is so beautiful. And the support that we have has always been there. It has never left us, and it is always seeking our greatest and highest good. So when we start to dive into this trust word, things like creative process can be used. And I think for me, the foundation for trust really came back to self, because doesn't everything come back to self? Everything starts with the self. So it really was a matter of me not trusting myself in this world. A lot of the messages that I received back reinforced the fact that I didn't trust myself. So when I started really going into my beliefs and into my heart and really examining and exploring what was there, I really quickly saw that I was just a little skewed in my thinking. I think a lot of us are. I discovered plenty of false beliefs that were being projected out and reflected back to, like we talked in another episode, to reinforce what it was that I was believing. And I really had to ask myself, is this really true? Is this really true? Do I really not trust myself? Or do I just not have a lot of experience with trust? And it really was the latter for me. I just didn't have a lot of experience with trust. And like anything else, I had to start practicing my ability to trust myself. And what was interesting for me was that it really went back to my intuition that I had ever since I was a child. I think we all do, but it's just not something that's ever talked about or supported. But I was a wise little kid. I was a very intuitive little kid. And I didn't know that that was something that I could trust and that I could rely on. And in fact, it scared me a little bit. So in the process of pushing that away, I quickly established that I was untrustworthy of myself. And I kind of created a hot little mess for myself. But I also could uncreate that. And I could return to that inner knowing, that inner compass, that inner guidance that we all do have, whether we understand it or not, or whether we've cultivated that ability or not. And that for me, that's really where the foundation of trust started, was remembering that we do know. We do know what is right and what is true. And we really can learn to trust that and to use that to help us navigate all of life, really. Not just, not just relationships or jobs or money or anything like that, but cultivating that ability to trust the self and by extension, the rest.
Absolutely. Laurie, as passionate as you are about this topic, I am too. And that famous injunction of, be present, don't listen to reply, and don't listen to respond. Well, guilty, because as you're talking, I'm thinking of, I must say this, and I must say that, and I must say the next thing. And I think I've got about 10. So even before everything I wanted to respond to in what you have said, I probably had a Sunday sermon of my own on this topic. So I might go on and on. Just interrupt me if I'm talking too long. And I must apologize if anyone could hear that. My dog decided now was the time to just drink water as though he's in a desert. So I'm sorry if anybody heard that. But yes, honey, where to start with this one? The highest truth is that it's literally impossible to trust anyone or anything else, because there is no anyone or anything else. There is only one of us. But there can be a very, very big gap between that ultimate truth and our experience of our lives, right? So just saying that flippantly, like a bumper sticker, isn't going to be very helpful to people. And it does come down to the ability to trust the self. And I think the reason why we don't is because we've been entrained not to give ourselves any credit. How often have you sat down, thought about not just what you've gone through in life, but what you have survived, what you have overcome, what you have triumphed over, what an absolute champion you are? How often do you sit and think about that and then truly own it? Because that's where our confidence in ourselves would come from, would it not? Is more acknowledgement of that. Like, yes, I went through hell, 27 varieties of it. And yet here I sit, still doing my best, still overcoming, still carrying on, still trying to improve. A champion. I'm a superstar in my own life. And if I truly believed that, if you truly believed that, then you would know that you could trust yourself, because you got yourself to here, didn't you? You survived all that. But because we don't do that, life is constantly trying to show us that we're supported. If you think about the structure of the physical body, the skin is so thin and yet it shields us. And we've got the nervous system and the muscles and all of that wrapped around what? Wrapped around our skeleton, our bones, our structure, our support. And that is so solid and so strong. We wake up in the morning and we walk on the earth. That support is always underneath our feet. It's never going to go anywhere. It's a given. That foundation is so strong and so solid. That is our support. And life is trying to show us not just that we are so supported, but all life does is give. Nothing is ever withheld. Nothing ever has to be earned. It's just given. Everything is just given, including the things that we have decided for ourselves are true. So even that very confirmation bias that we were speaking of in a previous connection is yet more evidence of how supported we are. The brain only knows what we tell it. So if we tell it that something less than desirable is true, it goes to work to show us, okay, yes, it is. Here's all the evidence. Because it's given. Everything is just given. So yes, trust comes down to trusting the self. And what is it exactly about the self that we trust? Well, that's a whole long thing I can go into. Because in different realms, do we trust ourselves to make the right decision? Does something like a right decision even exist? Do we trust ourselves to protect our hearts? Is protecting our hearts something that we should engage in? Do we trust ourselves to survive whatever might come across our paths in life? And are we meant to just survive it? Because at the end of the day, what all trust comes down to is trusting myself to be bigger than it, whatever that it turns out to be. So how much I trust you determines how much power I'm giving you to potentially be able to destroy me. So why would I be giving you that power?
That's a great question. And I think that's probably something we discussed in a power episode, but it really raises the question of how much power are we giving away? And how much power should we stop giving away? It's an important question. And I think
And how much power are we owning?
right. Absolutely.
How powerful do I believe I am? How much of the truth am I in regarding that?
Mm-hmm. And it's a self-responsibility too, right? If we feel that we're constantly betrayed, it's an opportunity to look at how much power we're giving other people. And maybe we just need to reel that back in and reclaim that as ours and maybe not do that.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to sabotage our ability to experience what we truly desire, right? So I think that's probably one of the ways that giving away our power does exactly that, is we do sabotage our ability to experience the things that we want to experience. And then we hold the other person responsible.
Exactly. And if we accept the fact that nothing in this reality is real, it's all a projected illusion. And every possibility exists energetically. We could have whatever we want, whatever we are able in this context to trust for. The question becomes then, what game are we playing?
Mhm.
Literally, what game are we playing? And I think sports are profoundly powerful metaphor for this. It came to me in the realm of money in my own personal life. How much I can trust life for in terms of money. And yet, If I wanted floods, I was manifesting drips. The drips were coming and I was grateful, but they were drips, make no mistake. And so I had to ask myself why. I know I'm trusting life for floods, for rivers. Why am I getting a drip? What is the throttle hold on that channel, on that flow? And what I realized was the game I was playing in terms of my mindset regarding money was juggling. That's what I was doing. I was juggling. And not just that, but I was juggling glass balls.
Mm.
From a mental construct point of view, I always had to have one ball in the air, keep my eye on it, and make sure I didn't drop any of them, because if it did. So that reality played out in my financial life for years and years and years until I decided to stop playing the game of juggling. Now I play catches. Much more fun. Much more fun. I get to not only catch, but I get to keep all the balls that life keeps lobbing my way. It's great.
And it's at the foundation, you were aligning with the belief that you already had it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, people say, you know, if you want to have it, you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, in order to have something that you don't have, to be able to hold it energetically, that means that you are it.
Mm-hmm.
You've become it. And so if trust is missing from that equation, that's like saying that I don't trust that I'm a human. Well, I don't trust that my name is Melissa. Or I don't trust that I'm a Caucasian girl, or whatever it might be. If I am it, that trust is the certainty that I don't even need to believe in, because I know. And it's confidence that will take us from the realm of first choosing to believe something to that certain knowing. Because whether we can recognize it or not, it is our certain knowing that we live. And everything else we keep wanting
Mm-hmm.
to have, because we haven't become it. But we are it. Energetically, we are it. Remember when I started, there's only one of us. We're it all. We're everything. Energetically, it's already ours because it's already us.
And I think that gap is where most people get lost. Wouldn't you agree? And that really is the very definition of trust, is there really isn't a gap. It is already ours. We just have to align with that truth, that all of the things really are already yours. Just reclaim it and own it and remember it. And what did you say? Energetically align with that truth, so it can
I'm
start
not
to
sure if those were
manifest.
the exact words I used, but yes, that'll do.
So
Yes.
we can start to see evidence of this in our lives, and we can start to see that these things do materialize, but they do
Yes.
live already in the energetic field.
Absolutely. That's what manifestation is. It is the process of something I'm holding in mind becoming visible.
Mm-hmm.
Presently, if I perceive that something is not in my reality, it's because it's invisible.
Ah,
It's invisible. But if I can see it within as myself, then what does it do? It becomes visible. Now my eyes can see it externally. So that's all that manifestation is. It's the process of a mindset becoming visible.
beautiful. I don't think I've heard it explained that way, and it's so basic and so simple.
Yeah.
I love that. Invisible.
One that's really close to my heart, and it's not on topic here, but I just have to use this opportunity to mention it. Incurable.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's equally important. Absolutely. Because it's really no different, right? It's the
No,
cure is inside,
yes,
and you just have to become that cure.
yes,
Um,
exactly. So how, literally in the world, if we know this, would we not trust it? Trust is so free because it's our power.
Yeah. So with everything, we have to cultivate a relationship with our thoughts, right? And our beliefs.
Yeah.
In order, I hate to say the gap, but in order to bridge that gap between, oh boy, I don't know, into a really solid, true yes. It's just cultivating that relationship again with your beliefs and your thoughts. And would you go as far as saying universal law? Am I going too far in
Yes.
saying that?
No,
Yeah.
not at
It's
all. Yes. And all the elements serve to show us that. I spoke earlier about our structure and how that foundation is such a solid support. Our air is an endless supply that we can't run out of, and we're surrounded by it. We live inside of it. We live because of it. Life is trying to show us that endless supply. Every morning, the sun comes up, and life and the possibility to live our lives is restored and renewed. It's just given. The water flows. The current never stops. It never ever stops. And there's oceans of it. So the elements are all serving to show us this. Everything that this reality is the constant confirmation of how and why we can trust life.
And I do think we have to, like you said, not just understand, but truly know that life or the universe or whatever it is that you want to call it, it really is inherently supportive. It's just the truth of the foundation. It is inherently supportive. And then when we
Yeah.
combine that with our power of thought and a little bit of surrender, I would say, to not having to control every single aspect of how this has to play out, just trusting in the divine flow of life, that even though we might think it has to look this way and we've worked out every detail and I just know that I've got it all figured out, that's really not trust. I think it's just a matter of having a vision in mind and knowing that that support is there and it will unfold. Even if the details look slightly different, it will unfold for our best outcome.
Yeah. Details are important so that we have clarity.
Yeah.
It's not the universe that requires the details. We do. We do. Our attention and our focus and our clarity is what requires the details. But the how and the when is 100% not our job. 100%. Our job is to stop clutching because we can't receive anything. As long as we're trying to be in control, our hands are closed. And not only that, but we're throttling life. This is a stranglehold. So we are throttling the flow into our own reality. So our job is to surrender, open up those hands, give it to life in trust, and stay there. Stay there. Bring the two hemispheres of the brain together, center in the heart of love and trust, and literally wait and see.
Thank you for connecting with Light for Life. If you appreciate reminders, Please go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you can receive those notifications. If you would like to work with one of us, you can find our contact information in the About section of this channel.
Yes, thank you for connecting with Light for Life. Please share your insights, your questions, and your comments with us in the comment section below. We value your feedback. And we really hope that we will see you for our next episode. We upload one every Thursday. Until then, bye-bye and be joyful.
Until we connect again, we send you love and light.